Before we start, we'd like to acknowledge the devastating death of one of the greatest players in history, Diego Maradona. Many players and fans this past weekend honored the legacy of Diego and his time in the game. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Maradona family. Rest in peace, Diego. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the D. This past weekend, a video went viral when Liverpool manager Jürgen Klopp had an interview with Des Kelly, and it was pretty fiery. What are our thoughts on that?
Personally, I think it was very inappropriate of Jürgen. I mean, he's a manager. I get that the emotion can get to you sometimes, but as a manager, you've got to be respectful to the interviewers. You gotta speak like knowing that you have the entire club of Liverpool. Basically, you're representing your entire club, and you don't wanna show bad representation of what your club is. I thought it was very inappropriate the way he attacked the interviewer when he's merely like the middleman just trying to get Jurgen's opinion. He's not the guy who comes up with the rules and stuff like that. So I think that was just completely uncalled for.
I agree. I think that was inappropriately handled by Jürgen Klopp. And maybe it is the job of people like Des Kelly to sort of ask these questions to Jürgen. But don't you think he was sort of baiting Jürgen Klopp?
Yeah, I do. And on top of that, like what Ika was saying, it is uncalled for, but this is an opinion that players have voiced. And I think that if he feels so strongly about this, it's important for him to voice his opinion. He just did it in an inappropriate manner. I think that's something that possibly would have been better taken to Twitter or to Instagram just to release a formal statement instead of saying it almost aggressively and after a game. It's kind of, I don't know, a little out of place for where it needed to be.
Yeah, you'd think that maybe over social media is where he'd take it out. I don't know if Jurgen Klopp's on social media or not, but I mean, after a frustrating draw with Brighton, a team that you should be beating, a couple goals being disallowed for VAR, I mean, you can understand the frustration that Klopp had. But what are some things that we take away from this interview? Maybe some of the positive things that Jurgen said.
I think the positive is the stuff that he's fighting for. I mean, the 5 subs, they should be getting the 5 subs. The time, although I feel like it wouldn't make that much of a difference, maybe the later games will help. All this stuff, it's not that hard to fix. They just, the Premier League doesn't want to. And he mentioned a lot of the managers, I think almost all the managers voted for the 5 subs instead of the 3, but that rule still hasn't changed. So, I mean, the positives is that he is fighting for something that all the managers do agree on, but, that doesn't allow him to go at the interviewer like that.
No, it doesn't. And I think Jurgen said in the interview, it was 16-4, 16 in favor of 5 subs, 4 managers in favor of 3 subs. And I think he called out Sheffield United manager Chris Wilder for calling him selfish for wanting 5 subs, even though he was one of the 4 managers, or Chris Wilder was one of the 4 managers to vote for 3 subs. And then Jurgen said they have 3 subs and 1 point, which is the worst start to a Premier League season ever for Sheffield United. So I think Jurgen may have won that battle.
Yeah, but you don't just say that. I mean, there's a point where you just have to draw the line. Like, you still got to be respectful.
To Chris Wilder or to the
in general?
In general, and to everyone, exactly.
I think it's just really out of place coming from a person in such power, and now we're kind of really seeing the repercussions with, I mean, in the game today, Liverpool had quite the lineup, I think you could say, which is really kind of sad to see, like some of the best players in the world, such as Virgil van Dijk, getting seriously injured, which maybe that gets prevented with more subs. But I really think it's just a tough call, and VAR has been a little rough recently. It's been slowing the game down, and it's been making calls that really do change the game, that when you look at it, you're like, I don't know, like in the heat of the moment, is his arm offside really mattering in the grand scheme of the game?
And we're going to get into that later. We're going to talk about VAR because that's a huge topic in the world, especially right now, as people are getting more and more tired of VAR. But going back to the subs, Jürgen Klopp in the interview said that he wished he could have taken off Andy Robertson and put in Kostas Tsimakis, not because of a tactical decision, but because it was just better for Andy Robertson's health. Do you think that these fourth and fifth subs are going to be made for health reasons, or do you think managers like Pep Guardiola, Frank Lampard, Jürgen Klopp are going to use them just to get better players on?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, it's going to help the players. It's going to keep them healthy. If you look at just like Serie A, they have the 5 subs, and you're not seeing nearly as many injuries there as you are in the Premier League. So it's obviously helping the players. But I mean, there's also a bit in the coach. He knows that if he can have the 5 subs, it's going to help him a lot tactically. So maybe they're using this health as like the base of it, but underneath they're definitely excited about the tactical improvements they can get from it.
Yeah.
So if you guys were, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think it's a dual-sided sword here, because you've got clubs like how you pointed out, Manchester City and Chelsea, who've got very strong benches, and then you look at clubs who don't have the financial support to get such strong benches. Even when you're bringing on fresh legs in the case of Manchester City, you're not losing the quality that you have on the field, which I can understand why some bottom table teams would vote for the 3 subs. But then you also got to look on the other side of players are getting more injured, and it's kind of slowing the game down because they're playing so much and less subs than what they were accustomed to at the end of last season.
Right, and you're right. You do feel bad for the lower table teams that can't afford to stock up their bench or even their starting 11 for that matter. The thing is, for me, Jürgen Klopp, right? So he's got how many injuries on the squad? I don't know the exact number.
It's ridiculous.
A lot of injuries. It's hard to feel bad for Liverpool at this point because they're doing so well. They're the defending champions, whatever. It's hard to feel bad for them. But they can't afford any more injuries. That's why the 5 subs is really needed, because if they get 2-3 more injuries, they're going to be playing their U21s for the rest of the season. It's just not a good look at all.
Which they've already started. Which we saw today in Champions League. We saw kids I've never heard of and really I would have never heard of had it not been for all the injuries that Liverpool's faced.
That's right.
And also, obviously you never want to wish an injury upon a team or a player, but it kind of makes it more fair. Obviously, last year Liverpool blew out everybody in the Premier League. This year they don't have as strong as a side, and we're seeing the tight race for the top 4. The Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool. Sadly, but now it's more tight because they don't have as dominant a side. Obviously, you still want their players to be healthy, and you never want somebody to get hurt. But yeah, I think it's making it a little bit more fair.
I agree. So the question I was going to ask to you guys, if you guys were Premier League managers right now, and you were in that meeting with all 20 managers, are you voting yes on 5 subs or no on 5 subs?
Yes. There's nothing. What's the downside of the 5 subs?
Well, what the bottom table teams were saying is if you take off Riyad Mahrez,
only 4. Yeah, but only 4 teams. Only if I had to guess, the bottom 4 clubs voted no. Okay, but look at a West Ham. Do they have the depth? No, but they still probably voted. I just pulled out a random name. They probably voted yes. I'm just saying, even the clubs who don't have the same depth as the big guys, they're still voting yes for it because there isn't that much of a downside.
Yeah.
I think I would vote for yes on 5 as well. But I want to play devil's advocate here and saying, like I said, you're taking off Riyad Mahrez, you're bringing on Ferran Torres, right?
Can we take a look at Aston Villa real quick? Because you got to remember, their strike force is Jack Grealish. If he gets injured, they're not scoring.
Ollie Watkins.
Ollie Watkins, yeah.
But still, Jack Grealish feeds him the ball.
And Barkley's injured, who's been pretty good for that.
So if
of course he brings in a Chelsea player.
Yeah. Why would he not? But if Jack Grealish gets injured, they're screwed. It puts them in a really hard position. So by having that extra sub, because you're always going to need fresh legs in every game, it always helps. Those 3 subs for fresh legs is very important. And now we're seeing almost an injury every game. That's taking up a sub. So there you go. You only have 2 subs for fresh legs or tactical.
Right.
So it's you got to look on both sides of health and tactics.
I think 5 subs needs to happen. It really does. And not just in the Premier League. I know there have been more injuries in the Premier League, but in every league in Europe and South America and even the United States, I mean, injuries need to be prevented. And this is an easy way to prevent them from happening.
And it worked.
You don't need any more young players getting their careers ended or taking 5-6 months at a time away from the game when you're 19, 20, 21. It's just, it can ruin your whole career. Another thing said in the Klopp interview was the kickoff time and how he's unhappy with the fact that Liverpool get the 12:30 kickoff, which is Pacific time, 4:30 in the morning, I think. Right? I don't know. It's the early. I think it's the earliest game. I'm guessing
6:30.
6:30. One of those. Like
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah, plus 8 hours. I think.
Whatever. It
Yeah,
doesn't
way.
something like that.
Either way, it's the early kickoff is 12:30 for them. Does he have a point there? Because I didn't really understand what he was trying to get at.
How much is a couple hours gonna do?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know where that was coming from. I think he was just trying to pull out arguments to like continue his battle, but there's just like that's not really gonna change anything.
Right. I mean, is 6 hours? Can that change something?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think it can. I think 6 hours can change something. Maybe 3 hours can't.
You guys can't see that. It's 4:30 a.m.
Okay, yeah.
So it is the earliest game possible. Is just for reference. I had to my math isn't too great, guys. I know a lot about soccer. I don't know anything about math. But he was saying how the Premier League was picking that kickoff for him, but then the interviewer said that it was actually Klopp who signed up for that spot. I mean, do we know the real answer for that? I mean, someone's got to be lying.
Yeah. Or someone's telling a half truth, which I think is very possible. But when you look at, I'm going to bring in like American or college football here, but you see the premier teams, the best teams in the nation, get the best times because for screen time reasons, they get the best time. I think that should be something similar for the Premier League. It shouldn't come down to what can we do. It should be, the best teams get the best times.
Well,
and that should just be the
wait. That's not how. It's not the best teams get the best times. It's the best games.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but okay. Think about last weekend, Liverpool's game. That wasn't supposed to be a close game. That wasn't supposed to be a good game. So they're not going to give it the major time. The major time game was the Chelsea versus Tottenham because that was the best game of the week.
It's hard to be fair. Well, they gave the Sunday time to Tottenham because they had played on the Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Which is Europa League. All the Europa League teams should get the Sunday and Monday games. So that would be, Wolves, Arsenal, Tottenham. They should get the Sunday games. If there's ever a Friday game, that's why you never see big games on Fridays. It's always Crystal Palace versus Newcastle because they are not playing in any other competitions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love for Chelsea to have the later kickoff. I think every team wants the later kickoff, but it would just be, there's not really a fair way to do that.
No,
I would say. So I think Klopp maybe has a point. He was just being a little too fiery. Sorry, guys, we had technical difficulties again. It seems like now that we're on Zoom, we have these pretty much every single episode. But that about wraps up the Klopp interview and the talk about that. So now we're going to move on to another huge issue that we slightly mentioned earlier, and that's VAR. Let's just share our initial thoughts on it.
Terrible how it's going right now. Horrible, especially in the Premier League. It's the calls that are happening are way too finite. The measuring the jersey sleeve, I mean, it's just that's not what soccer is, okay? Because then that also fully takes away the purpose of the linesman. I mean, what's the point of even having them there if VAR is just going to decide anyways? The linesman never gets used. They always let it play through, and then the ref goes and checks VAR. So I think there should be a little bit of like, I don't know how they would do this, but to have the linesman have some power in like deciding.
You know, I just thought of this right now as you were saying that about the linesmen, because I never thought about it like that. You know, what are linesmen going to do? You know what I'm saying? So it was interesting because it was a debate a few years ago when they introduced the electronic strike zone for, you know, if you're watching on TV for Major League Baseball. And there were people saying that the umpires could lose their job because they're not going to be needed anymore. Do you think that in the future linesmen could lose their job?
I think that something that the MLB has also implemented is like a judgment call zone where like if it's really close, just go with the call that was made. And we're seeing the Dutch league put that in place where if it's within 10 centimeters, they're just going with whatever the call made by the linesman was. And I think that that's really important because, you know, like how much does an arm being offside matter? You know, if he's, you know, I want the ball. Does this matter?
It shouldn't.
Because he's kicking it with his foot. You know, his arm's not really doing anything to the play. And I think that it's getting a little out of hand. I think it's being used too much, and there needs to be some type of rule, and I'm not creative enough to come up with one, put in place that limits VAR to a certain extent.
Yeah, but I think they could also just like very simply, okay, VAR can be great when it's in favor of you. So, you know, I'm not going to talk horribly about it because it's helped AC Milan a little bit. But I think there should just be like a replay system instead of having the VAR. I think, you know, if they think the call isn't right, the ref can go and like watch the replay or something like we see in the NFL. There's the challenges, or the referee will just be like, we're not so sure, let's go check the replay. I don't think there should be like the VAR where you pull the measurement down exactly and see like perfectly what it is. I don't think there should be that.
I don't think that was the initial purpose of VAR when it was introduced in 2016 and then first competitively in 2017. I don't think that they ever thought they were going to really do within millimeters. And I understand goal line technology. Yes,
That makes sense.
But if you, like Luke said, if you're calling for the ball and you're putting your arm out, hey, I want the ball, and they count your hand as offside, that's ridiculous because you're not scoring with your hand, like Luke said. You're scoring with your foot. If your foot's offside, fine. But if it's within, like you said, 10 centimeters, let the linesman decide, and don't let a robot decide. Don't let the cameras decide. I was pro VAR in 2016, and now I'm ready for it to go.
You had a whole presentation on it in 7th grade before it even became a thing.
In my 8th grade science class, I did a presentation on VAR in eco in my science class. But I'm ready for it to go now. If it's not going to go, then change it. Change it to be more less strict, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I think it's just too fact based. You know. Like, this sport should not be this fact-based. It should be a lot of... You should be able to argue calls that are made by the refs, you know? And in the end, you should be able to say, ooh, I don't know if that was a foul or not. Was it a red card, you know? And there's a reason that refs have to make judgment calls, and VAR is just taking away from that. And like Aiden said, I was very in favor of VAR when it first came and when we first saw it, and now it's taken away from everything. It's taken away from the atmosphere. You know, when you score a goal and you have to wait for VAR, you know, like it takes away from that adrenaline of scoring. Right. You know, like you celebrate and they're like, no, that like messes with a player's head instead of an immediate check it or... You know, so I just think it's too much.
We partially know what you just said because you were.
Yeah, no, you cut out.
Did I cut out? It said my internet connection was.
Yeah, you were cutting out a bit. Again, guys, more technical difficulties.
Am I good now?
I do have some good news for the 4 viewers watching at home right now. Coming up soon, maybe in the next few episodes, Eco, myself, and Luke will attempt to film one in person together. and there's not going to be any internet troubles with that.
No more Zoom.
Hopefully, we just got to figure out how we're supposed to get the mics all synced up and everything. But that is coming our way. Hopefully, we don't know. Maybe in the next couple weeks, few weeks. Who knows? We don't know. It's all up in the air right now. But I think we got the right idea of what Luke was trying to say, right? I don't think he was cutting out that bad.
VAR is
Bad.
It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. Too close. Too much.
And then because you said the arm. Okay, so what about in the Aston Villa West Ham game? Ollie Watkins is offside, but he's getting grabbed on by Ogbonna of West Ham, and then the goal doesn't stand. I mean,
I think you should insert that clip just so people can really see it. Okay, so now that they've seen it, I think that it's really interesting because, naturally, just in a human act, he's trying to get off of him. He's trying to get off the defender. He's being pulled, so his weight's going forward, which they deemed that his upper body was over the line when his lower body was clearly not. He used his foot to score, and I feel like it's one of those that no matter where his body really was, he was going to score it. I just don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered. And if anything, it should have been a pen.
and I also agree with that. And you should think about it like this, right? If you, like you said, if you're going to score that, they have to determine, like if you're an inch, less than an inch, 10, 15 centimeters offside, you're probably still going to score that goal. If you're 10 feet offside, that's a different story. But if you're that close, that's just ridiculous. Let them play. Let them play.
It also just takes away the excitement from soccer because whenever you see your team score, you always in the back of your head, you're like, okay, this might not count. They're going to VAR it and they're going to find something wrong with it.
It goes through your head.
Like when you score, unless it's like you're definitely, you know that it's not offsides, you just know like, okay, don't get excited. Don't get excited until it's confirmed. Mm-hmm. But we're talking a lot about how VAR is overused. There's been a couple occasions this year where, the refs have decided to not go to VAR when very clearly it should have gone to VAR and it would have been the easiest call. And I don't want to always bring them up, but AC Milan versus Roma game, the refs from that game actually got suspended because there was two penalty calls that they called, which were 100% like factually not penalties, and they called it. And the ref decided not to go to VAR to check it. He never went and checked it. And, they both got suspended for this. And we also see it in the Premier League. Any league, sometimes a ref will make a mistake and decide not to go to VAR for it, which, I think if you have the system and you're going to use it for, like, the millimeter offsides, you should also use it when, like, they're definitely – it's a toss-up whether or not it was a penalty or something.
Seems like we need to find a medium here because I normally would – disregard what you're saying about AC Milan and assume it's biased. But I did watch that game, and I do understand that those were pretty bad calls from the officials.
And it took away 2 points from us. We got a draw instead of a win.
They'll be fine.
We would have been 7 points in first instead of 5.
It could matter in the long run.
If we lose by 1, I'm going to be mad.
I'm sure you will be, and I would be mad too. If I was an AC Milan fan or that happened to Chelsea or that happened to Arsenal for Luke, I get it. I would be mad too. And then another thing is the goal line technology system, Hawkeye. This was the first game since the coronavirus restart. Aston Villa, Sheffield? Sheffield scored. It went over the line clearly, and apparently the Hawkeye system was broken. Another error that just can't happen. It just can't happen.
That's why like, we shouldn't fully rely on it. There should be, like, say like a camera in there that shows the ref, like he can't just look at it and like the technology tells him it's off. He should look at it and be like, okay, is it a goal or is it not a goal? Because we shouldn't fully rely on the technology.
Right. Here's what happens. Okay. For goal line technology specifically, if that ball crosses the line or you think it crosses the line, the referee will look at his watch and it'll say goal or no goal. The Hawkeye system was broken in that game. So it said no goal when even people at home in the regular replays could see that clearly crossed the line, and that cost 3 points for Sheffield United, who were in the Europa League spot.
But don't the refs have the people in their ear? Those people should tell him like, wait, no, guys, we just saw the goal, and that definitely went in. How did they not catch that? They catch the arm off sides, but they don't catch that.
Yeah, I think it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It really is. Again, like it's not their fault that the Hawkeye system was not working, but again, you just show one replay. Even myself at home is like, well, that crossed the line. That's obvious. It was touching the net. You know what I'm saying? That's a goal. And Sheffield were absolutely robbed of that. And it didn't really matter because they ended up losing a few games after. Now they're probably going to get relegated. Sorry, Parker. I know you're sad about it. But these are some things that really need to be fixed in order to restore the game, I guess, because it's really just ruining it, in my opinion. That's what I've always said. It's just ruining. And it needs to change
until it gives Chelsea the penalty to help them win.
There have been a few calls in favor of Chelsea where I'm like, that should not have stood, but I'm okay with that. I don't want to feel like that. I feel unfair, but I'm happy about it.
I've got the worst team in the room. So
that is true.
It doesn't even matter at this point. I've given up on this season. It's so far gone. At least let's just hope we don't get relegated. And like Jamie Carragher said, I think they'll have enough points to hold on.
Jamie Carragher said that Fulham is going down 100%. Is that happening, or are they actually coming back a little bit?
We'll see. Too early to say. They're borderline. They're a point away from going down. So.
I said Fulham is going down no matter what this season. I'm going to hold myself to that prediction, but it looks like West Brom, Sheffield is definitely going down.
Sheffield it.
Oh my gosh.
Rion Brewster.
Was it me or was it you and Parker who said West Ham was going down and now they're sitting fifth?
I think we said West Ham was going down because they well, here's the thing. West Ham was third place at the beginning of last season, and then they were 1 point away from relegation. So don't put them up there quite yet. It's too early.
A team though that we 100% over predicted, Everton. My God. Well, at the start we under predicted. Then after the first 3 weeks, we were like, oh my God, they're winning the league, and now they've dropped back down to 8th.
To be fair, it's only been 10 games, but let's be honest.
Yeah, but you see recently, like they had a lucky little week.
They're not going to finish in. I don't think they're going to finish in top 4, like I originally predicted. I don't know if I predicted them in top 4. I think I predicted them 5. I could see them finishing 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stand behind that. Yeah, very sad. I had to drop Dominic Calvert-Lewin off my
same
fantasy Premier League team. And I just picked up Jimenez.
I had a stinker. Oh, that's bad. Poor man, by the way.
So I'm taking a chance on Cavani now.
Not bad.
Won't go too well.
He's not gonna start though. They're not gonna bench Ice Cold Tony.
Speaking of Ice Cold Tony, what about Ice Cold Cavani? He just scored 2 goals in
Yeah, but just because one game, you think Ole's gonna bench him or start him
such a
over?
game.
It's Cavani now. Cavani's still got. He's letting the world know that he's still got his world.
Could they go with a 2-striker system?
Nah.
With
their midfield's not strong enough
and
for it.
Martial?
Their midfield's not strong enough for it.
Listen, they run a 4-4-2. That could be pretty good. Pretty good. Rashford on the left. Mm-mm. You got Pogba, and they should be starting Van de Beek at the midfield.
Right now, Van de Beek. But that's what.
That would be a pretty good lineup.
Their midfield's not strong enough.
What's their formation right now?
They play like a 4-3-3, basic 4-2-3-1 with Bruno as the 10 and.
Oh, they have Bruno. I forgot about Bruno. Yeah, I forgot about Bruno.
They've got too many true 10s because I don't like Pogba at the CDM. He doesn't work hard enough on defense for me. They've got 2 world-class true 10s between Pogba and Bruno. They can't play.
Pogba's not a 10. Pogba's just a regular center mid.
But I don't like him playing defense. He should be getting forward more.
I think they should be starting Donny. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
No one can argue
that. That's a fact.
Every time he gets put in, he plays so well, and they continue to not start him.
I feel like we're not putting enough credit under the name of Fred.
Yeah, he's great.
Does he have a place in United?
I think off the bench. I mean, you signed Donny for what, $45 million, and you're just gonna sit him the whole season?
They signed Donny to replace Fred, and I think that it's given Fred some true competition, other than Scott McTominay. And it's pushed him to play. He's doing quite well, to be fair. I mean, he's not like a world-class player and all this and all that, but he's doing what he needs to do, I guess. I think that he just plays so defensively, it allows Pogba to get forward. And I think that's all they care about.
Again, like you said,
because Donny likes to get forward.
He does like to get forward, but he's still
it's
very good at the CDM position, but he likes to get forward. So,
which is exactly what he did at Ajax.
Right.
That's why he worked so well there.
Right. You'd think that he was a 10, by the way he played at Ajax, which I think he did play in the 10 position.
A little bit.
No, Ziyech did.
But when Ziyech went out wide, they'd moved Donny up and
Ziyech went out wide. They
Lind to the middle.
So I mean, with that, was Donny a wasted signing?
No.
He's
Why?
very good.
And
He's going to be sitting and he's going to get upset.
For what?
You think he's going to want to stay on the bench?
For one season, maybe. For the rest of the season, he'll probably find a starting
Fred
spot.
is done at the end of the season.
No, I think here's what's going to happen. I think that he's going to find a starting spot later in the season, and if he doesn't, he's so young, he's not going to say, oh, that was one season of me learning the game of the Premier League, different dynamic than the Eredivisie, and he's going to find a starting spot next season. He's so young. He's not like he's towards the end of
it. It's like what we're seeing with Saliba for Arsenal. I think that he's a great player and should hopefully turn out to be a great signing for Arsenal, but he's just not ready for the Prem yet. You know, like when you look, like he did so amazingly well in the French league, and we've already seen Arteta just downright say he's not ready.
And that's fair, and that's something that happens.
And he's not.
When players from smaller leagues, not smaller leagues, but Bundesliga, Liga, and even Serie A come
not as fast leagues.
Whoa! Don't call Serie A a smaller league.
That's why I corrected myself. I said not smaller league, but
okay.
The Premier League is obviously ahead of all of them. So it makes sense that like, for example, Gonzalo Higuain. I don't know if you guys even remember. I was thinking about this. It was a shower thought last night, and I was like, Chelsea had Higuain for a season.
Why are you thinking about Higuain in the shower, though?
All right.
Now he's out of the MLS playoffs.
Now we got to clip that. That's Aiden thinking about Gonzalo Higuain in the shower. That's the thumbnail for this video.
Can we take a look at that one MLS playoff 10 shootout?
Yes, I want to talk about the MLS. Wait, before we talk about the MLS, before we go, I do have one more thing to say about Manchester United. I follow transfers on Instagram. They're trying to bring in another true 10, Christian Eriksen. Why?
Because, listen, Inter just wants to unload him. He is a good talent. He's a great player to have. He just didn't fit in that system, and they can get him for very cheap because he's coming off a terrible season. Yeah, but, okay, admit now that he's not on Spurs anymore. He's a good player, and they can get him for cheap right now because he was
much better on Spurs. System. Much better on Spurs than he was.
Obviously, but he never played with
before
Inter.
the last season he played there when
he was
good for Poch.
He was underrated.
Could we see them in the January transfer window get Jadon Sancho?
Oh, I thought you were going in a completely different direction.
Oh, no.
They're not going to make that big of a move.
I don't know, because they're looking now, and they're like, okay, we're not performing as well as we wanted to. Maybe we put the extra. What do they need? $30 more million or something?
I think not.
I think they should, because his price is only going to go up.
Oh, I think that I would want to buy Sancho as well, but I just don't think they will. I think they should, but I don't think they will.
But if there's a time, they should now, because he's getting closer and closer to his prime, where that's when his price is going to be through the roof.
You're saying it could rise from 120?
Oh, 100%. He's going to, well, I don't want to jinx him or anything. He is young. He's great. He's only getting better. I would hate to see him leave Dortmund because I think there's such a fun squad right now.
So fun.
But I think if there's a time for someone to buy him, it's now, because his price is just going to keep going up.
I mean, he's only 20. You know, he's still young, and I think that he's doing great for Dortmund. And as a player, he has no reason to leave because they've got Haaland, and that's one of the most lethal attacks right now. And as long as Sancho keeps doing well, he has no reason to leave.
I think from Borussia Dortmund's perspective, and I hate that I have to think of it like this, and I don't want to think of it like this, but sell him now because you don't know, he could get injured tomorrow and he's out for 2 years and then he's going to go for 60, 70 million. Like you never, I don't want to think of it like that. Of course, I don't want that to happen, knock on wood. But
That's
like
what they did with Dembele. They just sold him for as much as they could and he went like that.
Exactly. So if you're Dortmund, it's a good business decision you're losing a great player who's only 20 years old, but you're getting 120 million to spend on any position you need.
So like I briefly brought up, and I think that we should go into further discussion about, wow, that one MLS penalty shootout was ridiculous. I mean, like, you cannot ask for any more of, like, a seat-gripping, hand-sweating. I don't even support either of the teams. That was ridiculous.
Wait.
Here comes incoming MLS hate, by the way, from Eco.
No, but, okay, don't get me wrong. Great shootout. Super entertaining. Not as entertaining as the AC Milan one. Let me tell you why.
Why are you going to AC Milan?
It was to get into the Europa League. It went 2 rounds of the full lineup. I mean, all I'm saying, don't say it was the best shootout because it just the AC Milan.
I said it's all you can ask.
But
for.
yeah, he did say it was fun.
Okay.
You're in your head a little bit, but look at the circumstances. For the players on Orlando, or I don't even remember the other team. Was it New York?
I think it was NYCFC.
NYCFC and Orlando. If you're the NYCFC and Orlando players, that's in an MLS Cup playoffs, right? That's a pretty even matchup going to penalties. Eco, this was one where it was 120th minute handball penalty. AC Milan should have won 5-0.
We didn't have our 3 best players.
But
4 best players.
You just
4
can't
best
reason to
players.
miss a pen anyways.
You just can't compare that. You just can't compare it.
I'm just saying. Also,
Anyway.
it was raining. It was dramatic. I'm just saying. It was
Dramatic effect.
It was the scariest moment of my life.
Against the 6th place side in Portugal.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
you know, say what you want to say, but we're dominating right now.
I don't know how we started talking about Orlando and
Back to the Let's bring this back
let's
to
bring it back.
America.
Let's bring it. And again, if we don't have copyright, we'll play the clip in about a minute of the craziness that
The
occurred.
jump off. We could play.
You just cut out all my AC
here,
Milan
right
talk
here.
with the video.
Right here.
Basically, what happened was encroachment occurred. The goalkeeper was given a second yellow, so he was sent off.
He had already been given a yellow during the game.
Was given a second yellow, got sent off for encroachment. So basically, they had to use a player, one of their outfield players taking a penalty, to go in goal. Keep in mind, the Orlando City goalkeeper already made the save, but it was encroachment, so we had to retake it. So he let in the first 2, and it was an ugly penalty save because I'm assuming he's a defender, but he made the save. An outfield player made the save, and then Orlando City ended up winning that penalty shootout and advanced to the next round. They're now out of the MLS Cup playoffs, I think, which I'm okay with. I don't love Orlando City.
Wow.
But nonetheless, it was a great penalty shootout, and I feel like this is the only time we're really going to talk about MLS. We'll probably bring it up in a few weeks when the final happens. That I do want to talk about, but I mean, this has got to be the worst part of the podcast for Eco. I mean, he hates them.
I don't hate the MLS that much. I just don't. I don't watch it. It's not that enjoyable.
I don't watch it that much either.
It's because you guys follow a little bit. I mean, Aiden a little bit. Luke does the LAFC. I don't have an MLS team, so I don't really. There's no point in me following.
You do now, LAFC. Let's go.
We suck, though.
I'd take Galaxy just because of Ibrahimovic, but
You want to be the
He doesn't even play there anymore.
you want to be a Carson Galaxy fan? I mean, come on, they're not even LA.
They're not even in LA.
Come on now. Like Galaxy have had they've had Beckham, they've had Donovan, Robbie Keane.
Actually, speaking of Beckham, never mind. I'm a Miami fan. Higuain.
Matuidi.
Brothers, both the
And they're already out.
Wow. Do you think that, again, staying on the topic of MLS just for a tiny bit, do you think that if LAFC had a full healthy lineup, including Diego Rossi, that they maybe could have beaten Seattle?
Yeah, and our goalie had COVID, which sucks.
Vermeer
had COVID, which our backup goalie's fine. Cisniega, he's fine. Nothing special. But Vermeer's great. He's the leader. And, I mean, as any team knows, it sucks to have your captain ripped out of your team.
Yeah.
LAFC's had a really weird season. Rossi was great, and now
he got
out.
COVID, was it? Or was it injury?
I think it was COVID,
Unspecified illness that you
but I could be wrong.
I think it was
Wait, did LAFC lose the game that I left?
Yeah, so
Is that
Luke
the
and
game
I
they got knocked out? Okay.
Luke and I watched that game together. It's very funny to watch an LAFC game with Luke Garrett's brother, Jack Garrett, because he gets a little angry, which makes sense. It makes sense.
Loves
I
the
get it.
sport. Love big passion. Big passion.
We're gonna have Big Gare on the podcast maybe in a few weeks, so be ready for Luke Garrett's older brother. He knows a lot about the MLS. That he was saying names that I'd never even heard of. I'm like, wow.
Ridiculous how much
Aiden thought he knew a lot.
I met my match. I don't know. I got to do research on MLS.
Batman Jeej.
I started researching MLS after that because I was like, JG knows.
MLS is crazy with stats though. Like you get some weird stats out of like American
Because
commentators.
it's an American sport. They have all the crazy statistics that other European.
Recently, though, in European specifically, I mean, and Aiden saw this in an AC Milan game. They started talking about like American football. They brought up a player, DK Metcalf, running, and I'm like, why are they talking about the NFL in an AC Milan game?
Because it was ESPN. It was a broadcast in the United States.
Yeah.
Like you see the NBC guys bring up football all the time or American sports because you don't. If you're in England, you're not watching NBC because it's only in America. You're watching Sky Sports or BT Sport, whatever it's on. It's an American broadcast in America, which is why they talk about the American sports. But I did find that he compared one of the players to, I don't even know his name. I don't know NFL.
DK
Metcalf.
That man is
I was like, what?
huge.
Hearing a British guy say Seattle Seahawks in a British accent really just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know. It reminded me of when the MLB came to London and they had a British announcer commentate.
The NFL as well, yeah.
The NFL, when they do that, it's great. They play at Hotspur Stadium.
Wembley.
No, they
play at Wembley.
Now.
Was it Wembley?
No, they always played at Wembley.
It used to be Wembley. It's going to be Hotspur now.
Wait, what?
At the brand new Spurs stadium because the
Don't
field
think so.
goes out and the
in
an NFL.
Is it right next door to? Wait. Is Wembley Stadium right next door to the new Tottenham Stadium?
No, I don't think so.
It's not what you're just saying.
No. They play at the Hotspur Stadium instead, or they will.
Got it. Oh, got it. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, British announcers are the best. I mean, they're just so
Yeah.
soothing. I love them. They're great. Best British announcer.
They can get annoying.
Peter Drury. Do you guys know? Would you be able to recognize his voice by his name? Or
Yeah,
not?
I'd recognize his voice, but not his name.
Okay. Well, he's one of my favorites. We're not going to get into announcer talk here because you
The,
guys
the messy one. I like
Runs
that.
in the Michaels blood.
I pay attention. I'm very meticulous when I listen to announcers, and I I pick on them and notice their flaws a lot. But anyway, that's enough for American sports talk. I know Eco's super happy that we're not talking about the MLS for the next few weeks. We can talk about the Champions League. The first set of match day 5 games happened today. The second set tomorrow. I want to focus on one group, and that's Real Madrid, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Inter Milan, and Shakhtar.
Right now, we're seeing Real Madrid and Inter Milan, which were the two teams that everybody was like, okay, this group's a joke. They're obviously making it out. And both of them right now aren't making it through.
3 and 4.
Gladbach and Shakhtar right now are leading, and Gladbach's up by 1, and then Shakhtar is, I think, tied with the rest of them. Or maybe Shakhtar's up by 1. It's on goal difference. One of the two that's up is on goal difference right now. And so if Real Madrid and Inter win in match week 6, they both make it out. But if they lose, if one of them loses or both of them are gone. It's basically you got to win to make it through.
It's going to be a really, really exciting match day 6 for that group.
I hope Inter gets eliminated. Oh my
I
God.
know.
I'd be so happy.
As you would. I mean,
But-
as AC Milan.
I get that.
Real Madrid, if they don't make it through, is that going to be the final straw for Zidane to be gone?
I feel like it's going to happen anyway, so this is just a nail on the coffin. Even if they win the Europa League and they finish they go down the Europa League and they win it, I still think Zidane is gone.
No, I think if they get knocked out, he's immediately fired.
No.
I mean, when's the last time Real Madrid got knocked out of the group stages in the Champions League?
Long time.
Probably not.
Probably never.
I wouldn't say that. Since
It's
1959.
happened, but
I
no,
mean,
it's so
No,
crazy.
I know Barcelona was in the Europa League in as recent as 1997, I want to say.
and then Messi came along.
Wow. Barcelona's always had an amazing team. I mean, for as long as I can remember, for as long as we've been alive, they've had one of the best teams in the world. But do you think that, because Barcelona is looked at, when you look at La Liga, They're looked at as the sort of joke of La Liga now. Is Madrid going to become the new joke if they get knocked?
Well, listen,
Not in La
Madrid,
Liga.
even if they get knocked out, they are still top 4 in La Liga when Barcelona is like 10th or something.
But they're 2 games behind. I want to say that.
Oh.
They could go back.
Still.
If they win their next 2 games, they could go to. They'll be in 4th or 5th place with no games in hand.
Barcelona should be first. Real Madrid should be second.
Real Madrid
like
should
that.
not be finishing 3rd or 4th in the Champions League with a group with Shakhtar and
Well,
Mönchengladbach.
Barcelona's they're in 7th.
They're in
They are
7th.
I mean, but I'm just I've got it up.
On the table.
And Atletico Madrid is behind 2 games as well and is only 1 point off.
Real Sociedad is
place.
first, correct?
Yes, but they're 2 games in hand.
It's Atletico's year this year, I think. I don't think so.
I hope so.
They're
I hope
so good. That game today, they played fantastic.
Was it
Suarez is making the difference for them as well. He was in.
He's injured
excellent-
too, and they played
Yeah.
great.
Well, no, but when he wasn't injured, he's been very good for them.
He's been playing well. I wouldn't say he's playing very well. I mean, he's Joao Felix, who we didn't think was going to perform nearly as well as he is now, is playing very well. I mean, I think it was episode, I want to say, literally 2 or 3.
Yeah, 3, yeah.
Yeah, we early on and Inside the D, we talked about how Joao Felix is becoming a flop. It was La Liga.
No, we didn't say he was becoming a flop. We just said he had a horrible season, but it was because of injury.
No, but we said it was. I remember it. We said it was. We all agreed that it was potentially a season that possibly ruined him because we didn't know if he was going to be an amazing player because he came from Liga NOS. He didn't come from Bundesliga, Liga, and Premier League. He came from the second tier of leagues, I'd say, Liga NOS. They're up there, but they're not quite in the top 5, right? So I, for a little bit, was like, well, maybe Felix was not worth the 100+ million they paid for him. It's still too early to tell. But now he's really starting to click, and he's starting to play very well for Atletico, which I didn't really expect this season.
As you can see on my smart board here, Felix with Suarez better than Felix without Suarez. I think that it's helping him kind of progress, becoming a better player with some real competition behind him because before that, I think it was Diego Costa.
It was, but it was also Alvaro Morata.
Yeah,
but they were both starting. They were both starting Morata and somebody else.
Yeah, because they play a 4-4-2. But I think that it's really helping him have one of truly the best strikers in the world next to him. And I think it's moving along his career. He's played with 2 of the best strikers of all time in Suarez and Cristiano Ronaldo. And,
that is true.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that, the Portuguese influence that Ronaldo gives to Felix. I didn't really think about that. Either way, back to the Champions League. It's going to be an exciting match day 6 for anybody. For a Chelsea fan, it's exciting because we could top the group. There's PSG, United, Leipzig, who are all very close, and we don't know who's going to go on. The Madrid, Mönchengladbach, Shakhtar, that group that we talked about, Inter Milan. That's going to be exciting. And then we have one more Barcelona-Juventus fixture that hopefully, if it's Messi and Ronaldo, that's going to be very exciting. But that just about wraps things up for us. We do finish with a game, as always. As you saw, Luke had his whiteboard. So that sort of hints at what we're going to be doing right now. I'm going to be asking the boys 5 questions about random football history trivia, and they're going to write on their whiteboards. Ego, you do have a whiteboard, right?
Nope.
He doesn't have a whiteboard.
We're doing the reactions.
Oh, yeah,
Change your plans. The boys are going to do one of these reactions. Luke, do you want to demonstrate what that's going to look like? Hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know if you can, then I'll just say who says it first. But they'll put the emoji up, and whoever I see first gets to answer the question. I'm going to give you guys 3 options for each question. So you're not just guessing.
So wait.
Right?
Okay.
Question number 1. Who won the first Champions League final in 1955? Madrid, Real Madrid, Benfica, or Fiorentina? I did see Eco's pop up just barely. Eco, what is the correct answer? Who won the first ever Champions League final?
I think it's Benfica.
Okay. That is the incorrect answer. Luke Garrett, is it Fiorentina or Real Madrid? If you get this wrong, Eco gets the point.
Well, I do have a 50-50 chance.
You do have a 50-50 chance. Times were different back then.
I don't like it, but I'm gonna go with.
Hey, give him a 5-second clock.
I'm going with Fiorentina.
The correct answer was Real Madrid. You guys win.
1 point for Aiden. 1
It
point
seemed
for
too
Aiden.
obvious.
So Eco, that's why I put it there. Benfica,
Yeah.
Real Madrid won the first 3, I think. Benfica won. They were the second team to win it, just not in the second year. All right, so after the confusion and after Eco yelling at me about how he didn't like this game, I'm going to take away the point that Eco had because he didn't want it, and I get the point because they got it wrong. So we're moving on to our second question. Who has the most yellow cards in history? Waiting for any buzzes. Okay. Is it Pepe, Sergio Ramos, or Dani Alves? Luke Garrett.
I'm going with B, Sergio Ramos.
The correct answer is B, Sergio Ramos. 1 point for Luke. 0 points for Eco. Eco, do you want that point back? Or
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Sergio Ramos does have the most yellow cards of all time. He has the second most red cards of all time.
Ridiculous.
Next question. When did AC Milan win their first UCL title? Eco.
Are you serious?
You didn't
Oh,
get-
wait. I didn't hear the options.
No, you have to answer it. You have to answer it. You have to
Eco
answer
does
it.
not get to hear the options because he buzzed too early. Eco, when did AC Milan win their first UCL title? You have 30 seconds.
Okay, so we started in 1899.
The Champions League started in 1955 for reference.
No, I know, but I'm processing like how many years for development.
The answer.
1964.
10 seconds.
Oh,
Okay, now, Luke, I'm going to give you the 3 options. That was the incorrect answer. Is it 1963, 1969, or 1977?
A.
1963 was A. Is that your final answer?
Sure.
That is correct. Ego is
I was a
one.
year
Get
off.
in,
I was a
son!
year off.
Get in!
I knew it was one of those. Oh,
Luke
Look at that
Garrett
rate.
now has 2 points, meaning
Look-
Ego needs to, well,
Get all of them
Win
wrong.
out.
Right.
went
can't
out.
win. He can tie because I have 1 point.
We'll have a tiebreaker.
What competition held the first competitive match using VAR? This was in 2017. Luke Garrett.
It was the Olympics.
It was not the Olympics. They did
Oh.
not use VAR. I was at the games. They did not use VAR. Eco, you get the options now. This is a bit of a hard one. Was it the Copa America, the Euros, or the Confederations Cup? You have 30 seconds.
Not Copa America, I don't think.
I don't know who you're telling that to, but
I don't think it was Euros either because that's too big to test.
okay.
So I'm going to go with the Confederation Cup.
The Confederations Cup is the correct answer. Eco is back in the game and has a chance to tie things up in the final question.
Why did I do that?
I did
You
5
got to
questions.
have a tiebreaker, though.
That's what I was going to say. I did 5 questions because there wouldn't be a tiebreaker, but then somehow I ended up with a point.
Aiden's gonna win.
Possibly the last question, unless Eco gets it right. Who scored the first goal in Chelsea's history? Was it A, Dennis Wise, B, Jackie Robertson, or C, George Hilsden? Eco, to tie things up, not win the game.
We've had a couple A's and we've had a couple C's. I'm going to go with B.
B is Jackie Robertson. Is that the correct answer, Eco?
Wait. No, I didn't like the sound of it. C.
C, George Hilsden.
Yeah.
Scored many goals for Chelsea in the early 1900s. However, the first Chelsea goal came from player-manager John Tate Robertson, Jackie Robertson. He put B in there.
I should have kept
Unfortunately, the first goal was scored in the 80th minute in Chelsea's second ever game, a 1-0 win in their first ever season. Player-manager, like I said, John Tate Robertson. Unfortunately, Eco, you lose the game. You could have won it because you had a point, and then you're like, oh, let's just give it to Aiden. We'll see how they do in the next one. Maybe I'll be a part of it. Who knows? But that concludes episode 12 of Inside the D. Thanks for joining us.
Get in, son! Get in!